Well, today it's a beautiful day, and we have a very incredible person joining us in this conversation. Planetary Pulse Human Harvest. We have no other than the incredible Dr. Sangeeta Sahi. She is an integral medical doctor, a longevity specialist, a health and business mentor. She's a documentary filmmaker as well, and she's a regeneration and community facilitator. She's actually an expert on so many complex things that I cannot even pronounce them right. So I'm gonna let no other than the woman itself to introduce herself. Dr. Sangeeta, please tell us about you and your journey.
Andrea, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And also, it's a delight to be here today. Okay, so I am, as you said, I'm a post-humanist integrative medical doctor. Now, what does that mean? That actually means that I'm looking at the human body system and human health from a beyond just human mechanical perspective. I'm looking at it from a multidimensional systemic perspective, which is why it's post-human, because the human part is very mechanical, very kind of medical system driven. And what I've been doing most of my professional life is looking at human health and the human body in a very different, very holistic way. And I will explain that as we go along. Andrea, I come from a long line of medical doctors. I'm the fourth generation in my family of doctors. And my real underlying theme was the origin of disease rather than just the symptomatic relief of it. And that through that kind of that impulse, that motivation, that inspiration, it led me down many, many rabbit holes. I really went into the study of the mind on its subconscious, conscious, superconscious levels. I dug deep into psychospirituality and psychology. I dug deep into, obviously, the mechanical body systems, but also into epigenetics, nutrigenomics, psychoneuroendocrinoimmunology, and simplified. What that means is looking at how genes express themselves and how the environment expresses itself through our genes, how nutrition and food expresses itself through our genes, and how cultures and thought patterns and emotions express themselves through our genetics. And then I also studied Ayurveda, which is some of your attendees, your communities will know is the oldest, most ancient medical system documented from ancient India more than 5,000 years ago. So I studied a bit of that, and then I studied traditional Chinese medicine and plant-based medicines because I was living in many, many countries, and I was working directly with the communities there at the grassroots level, as well as teaching. I've been teaching since I left medical school, and working with these communities, I was really interested and curious about their indigenous and their natural healing systems for their communities. So that also, I got very deep level of understanding of plant-based medicines, of shamanic work, and how each community was very different. It was, yes, there's certain patterns that are general and similar, but actually the communities are very unique and nuanced communities. So that's a little bit about that route. But then I also worked with quantum physicists in America, in the States, and also biophysicists in the UK very early on in my professional career. And there we were actually had real-time technology to be able to validate a lot of these ancient and indigenous medical and healing modalities, I would call them. We could see right into the body, we could see right into the chakra system, the meridian system, and we did many experiments. So I was able to put all these different pieces together, and that's really been the impetus of my journey. And then the real kind of turning point came when I started getting a lot of people. I started getting a lot of patients and a lot of clients who were actually experiencing cancer and immune system imbalances. And that really, I really got very deep engagement with the mini soul communities of individuals and families and extended families. And I was working with diverse groups of people, Andrea, from different cultural backgrounds, different languages, different foods, different lifestyles, and different religions. And there were certain general patterns that were emerging that I was able to document. And through that documentation, I could scientifically, through science and social sciences, validate and create. I ended up creating a program called Conscious Cancer, which is a 13-step life recovery program for people who are experiencing cancer and immune system problems, imbalances. And then through all of that, I really dove deep into regeneration. And of course, all of this work was linked to longevity. So regeneration means, because of Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine and plant-based medicines, it touched me at a level that I can't really explain, about planet and the earth and all our elements, and how we are so deeply not just connected, but we're made up of those. Our design is part of that, and the elements and us have such a real and a genuine and an authentic relationship, which we're very unaware of, most of us. So that led me then to create the foundation, Unified Human Foundation and Unified Prakriti Foundation. And the foundation, Unified Human, we support projects which support projects and initiatives that unify human beings with nature. And we're in the UK and in the US and in Australia under the name of Unified Human Foundation, and we are in India under the name of Unified Prakriti Foundation. And the foundation, I'll tell you quickly, works on 3 main platforms. We work with clean technologies, so technologies for clean air, clean water, waste management and recycling, aquaculture. The second platform is health, but more nature-based health solutions, so nutrition, food security, lifestyle. And then the third platform is cultural and community regeneration, which is also our educational platform. And it's through that I've been making documentary films and, directly working with the communities globally from different parts of the world and different traditions, different indigenous knowledge systems, different governance systems, etc. So I can tell you more about that as we go along, but this is just a general overview of what was my driving force.
It's incredible. You're not only a woman of science, but you take the meaning of healing and the medicine beyond the bodily meaning. And it's amazing to see how can you integrate all of these things that seem like very different layers, but many, many layers, and you're able to see it from above. And I love what you said, how we're more than just connected to it, we're made of it. Like when the quote that we're all made of stardust, right? And
Right.
I think it's so beautiful what you're doing it because it's so necessary to the world we're living in right now. Like I'm sure a lot of our listeners are gonna be very interested in your cancer research and all the alternative medicine that you have, because in today's world is so sick and so ill in so many ways. And the traditional medicine and traditional format, it's built in a way that it's only profitable orientated and not healing orientated. And so it's really interesting. I'm sure our viewers have a million questions themselves, and I'm sure they want to know more. But I want to go first to one of the things you mentioned, and it's um, how back to the we're all made of stardust type of thing and how we're all connected. When we were first talking about having this interview, you mentioned me that the perfect title for it will be Planetary Pulse Human Heartbeat. And now I see, even on your background, you have the beautiful planet with the heart shape Pangea type of continent. Like there was just one country on a heart shape, and I love that. I will love you to explain why you chose this title first, and because I know your love for humanity, it's also your love for the planet, and you talk about how you work with communities and societies. But I first want you to explain why this name is so meaningful and why it is so connected to your Unified Human Foundation.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, so planetary pulse, human heartbeat. The planet has a pulse. It's called the Schumann resonance. And it's been monitored, it's been measured, and it's been tracked for a very long time by NASA, by different geologists, by scientists, etc. And it's so the planet is like a being. It's an incredibly complex being.
Yes.
And we are living in absolute oneness, actually, physically, with this being. You want to call her Gaia, you want to call her planet Earth, you can call her whatever you like, but this is what we're in Sanskrit. She's called Prakriti because Prakriti in Sanskrit means nature, and nature does not mean nature in the same way that nature means in the English language. Nature in Sanskrit means all levels. It means nature. It means our nature as humanity's nature, an individual nature. And what it really means, it's a sort of descriptive word for relationship. So nature is describing our relationship with the planet, with the environment, with the elements, actually. So we have earth, we have fire, we have water, we have air, we have ether, and we have those. And it's describing our relationship with them on all levels. So with our emotional body, our physical body, our mental body, and our etheric. People call that the energy body. So this is why, actually, just because we are not consciously all the time aware that we are connected to her, we're not even connected to her. We're inseparable from planet Earth and Gaia. That's why in many indigenous and ancient wisdom teachings, she's called Mother Earth, because she feeds, sustains life. And we are part of that living system. So therefore, she's sustaining us. And it's our, I wouldn't say job, but it's our consciousness we need to develop as humanity to be able to consciously understand that we are also co-creating and supporting her. We think that we're separate, and we think actually that we're not co-creating with her, but we are, because there's no separation. Even if any child is separated from their mother, whether they're dysfunctional families, whether they were separated biologically, whatever, that you cannot sever that tie, because it goes beyond just the physical. It's something almost, otherworldly and definitely spiritual about that bond. And with the Eastern cultures and philosophies, we say that we're very, very spiritually connected to our ancestors. So they are part of us, and we are part of them. And it's the same thing with the planet. So when we talk about planetary pulse and humanity's heartbeat, we're actually saying, hey, you know what? We're one. We're one.
I love that. You explain it so beautifully. The name of OHOW means one humanity, one world. And the reason it has a name is because we often say that we're all part of the humankind. We're all human beings, no matter which part of the world we're from, no matter how we look like or what we believe in. And we always say we are sharing this one world, but the reality is that we are the one world.
One world.
We love the analogy that you gave on the mothers, because I am no mother by no means, but I've been very lucky to have friendships and talk and know many mothers that have explained me things like how before their child asks for food and they are breastfeeding, they already feeling in their breast that they are ready to feed the child. Or if they are not with their child and the child is crying, they can feel that there's something wrong, and they just know it because they feel it in the whole bodies. And there's a connection that goes beyond the bodily level, but that they can still feel in the physical level of it. And I many times wonder if it's the same way with our planet, if our planets can feel the pains of humanity as one, and if we as humans also can feel the pain that some would say we are inflicting to our own Mother Earth. And it's so important to be able, in order to understand this type of concepts, you need to have experienced the feeling of wholeness or unity. And I know that your foundation itself is called Unified Human. Unification is so important. And I want you to talk about the importance of that feeling of whole. And because that's very tied to the name of your foundation and your foundation itself.
Well, thank you. It's about being aware, Andrea, more than actually about anything else. And the only way you can become aware is if you experience it. If you don't experience it, you can't be it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when we talk about unifying human beings with the planet, and we really focus on the projects that we're doing. It's exactly as I explained slightly earlier, that on the one level, we've got the educational part, which, if you like, is understanding how she is and how her systems operate. That's one level. Another level is the physical. All the projects that we support in different parts of the world, they have to have a volunteering aspect. So people who want to can go out there and actually work in the projects and get the feel of the earth, the water, the air. And, people don't, again, it's about awareness and consciousness, Andrea. People don't realize that even if they don't feel the direct connection, they feel the indirect. How? GMO foods, processed foods,
Mm.
As soon as we start eating those, most people end up getting some sort of imbalance after a certain amount of time, or some who are sensitive sooner. So indirectly, we are feeling it. It's just we're not aware and we're not conscious. So the missing thing is being aware, actually. So when we talk about unification, all we're really saying is awareness. And through that awareness, the shift to embodiment. So experiencing it. Because if you don't experience it, you can't. I mean, all the work that I've done is experiential. And the beautiful thing and the most valuable thing, Andrea, that I really want your viewers to leave with is that that experience is going to be different all the time, even doing the same thing, because the environment changes so quickly.
Yeah.
And, time and the winds and the weather now we're seeing and all of this stuff, it changes so fast. And we're living in this time and in this world where we can't be 100% sure that we can rely on anything being predictable, because things are changing so quickly. So that's experiential, to be able to move with it rather than theoretically, because when you experience something, only then do you really want to understand it.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And you just said something that it's so deep. Through awareness comes embodiment. That's so impactful and so deep. And that's food for the thought for our viewers to think what that actually means, because it's really deep. Through that awareness comes embodiments. And I couldn't have said it better than you said it. And part,
Thank you.
I know that it's, you mentioned before when you were talking about your journey and how you became this incredible doctor, you managed to work with this intersection of healing and medicine, but also creativity. You're a very creative person. I know you're a filmmaker as well. You've done incredible documentaries that I want you to tell us more about later. But I want you to talk about this intersection of healing, medicine, and creativity, because you're doing so many things that might seem different from far, but in a way you make it make sense altogether. So I love to hear more about that.
Thank you. So, as I said, actually, I was very young, and I am born into a Hindu family. So philosophy is normal. That's one of the things everybody kind of jokes about, that in India, every single Indian is a philosopher, So really, truly, it's just part of the culture. It's inherent in the culture. And so philosophy was always there. It's part of the culture and part of the cultural DNA. So when I was studying medicine, I'd actually previously, I'd also had worked with a lot of spiritual teachers. My family, we had a lot of family relationships with really amazing spiritual teachers. So I grew up with that. And when it came to medicine, and I was really working in medicine, it was in my final year, Andrea, where we were in clinics and patients were coming to see me, even though there were junior consultants. And I was feeling very awkward, to be honest, because they would come back and they'd say, no, we want to see that doctor. And one or two of them, I kind of plucked up the courage to ask why. Why do you want to see me? You've got more qualified senior people here. And they said, because when we leave here, we know that we're fine. And it's not because of the medicine you give us. It's because of you. And we want to come and meet you only. So I was intrigued because they were having healings. And I knew sometimes I would just give them because we were not allowed to prescribe medication. So I would give them vitamins, I would give them placebos, and I saw that they were healing. And I was a final year student in med school. And then I decided that I wanted to really understand this from a scientific perspective. So what is this sort of spontaneous healings? What is this faith medicine? You know, what is this trust factor? So that is how I ended up, working with different quantum physicists, with biophysicists, to understand the different parts of our consciousness, our minds, and also how our bodies are connected with that. And what are the things, the bridges that connect us? And obviously, integrity is very important. Andrea, I cannot stress that enough. A patient comes and they really want to be healed. And part of the healing is not giving them a prescription, which is what is happening in mechanical medicine, but it's about talking to them. It's about listening to them more than talking to them, listening to what is really bothering them and listening to their stories, Andrea. So that is the creative part of medicine and healing. For me, healing is creative medicine. So you've got the mechanical medical system, which is all about, hey, there's a symptom, and this is the diagnosis, and this is the treatment. So very linear, chuck, 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 chuck. And all regulated, like you said, by pharma, by the rules and regulations of each country's medical system. But then healing is not about that. Healing brings in feeling.
Yeah.
That's where I know you understand, as a creative person yourself, as an artist, that it's feeling that creates the art. It's feeling that creates the beauty. It's feeling that, that brings things together. And that is what I've understood was really missing from mechanical allopathic medicine. And that's what's very, very, very there, very prominent and dominant in nature. She doesn't judge us. She gives unconditionally. She doesn't expect anything in return. And if we keep extracting, all that will be is that she doesn't have anything more to give. She's depleted.
Yes.
It's not that she stopped giving. It's we didn't know how to treat her well enough to balance her giving and us giving back. So us receiving from her and then giving back to her to support her. So your mother, I mean, everybody's mother, they bring up their children. They nurture them, they nourish them, they support them. And then in the Eastern, definitely very much in the Eastern and Middle Eastern traditions, when your parents get older, you go back and it's a life cycle. You then support them. You nourish them.
Yeah.
Because they need that. So it's a full circle. And that's when I talk about wholeness, that's the circle of life that I'm referring to, is the giving, the receiving, and ultimately the everything else in between.
Wow. I think you were mentioning it before about the feeling and why patients gravitated to you when you were barely starting on your career or as a student. I think it's more than, well, it's connected to the feeling, but I think it has a lot to do with frequency. I think your frequency is so powerful and so positive that people, we are very sensitive to the frequencies around us, even if we're not aware of it at all times. And we're very influenced by the frequencies we perceive. And someone that is suffering pain, it's desperate to raise their frequency. And with someone like you that has such a beautiful and very powerful frequency, even just listening to you or being in your presence, like these patients telling you their stories, that presence, that frequency is also healing, because
Thank you.
our frequencies can be very contagious. And a way that we can know this is that when we walk on the street, if we smile to a stranger or we smile at a child and the complete stranger smiles back, that is contagious to a deeper level that we might think it is. I always say, never underestimate the power of little actions, because
Yes.
the power of just our presence with our frequency, especially when your frequency is so high above, right? You really bring the healing just by your small actions, your small words. It doesn't take a great deed. And I really like what you were saying before about how the how for you the creative part is the healing and not the medicine itself. Because this actually funny, but in my household, I've always grew up hearing my parents were never big fans of traditional medicine either. And in Spanish, the word for doctor, it's médico, which médico comes from medicine.
Mhm.
Médico, it's the person that gives you the medicine. Okay, so my parents always used to say, remember that a doctor, a médico, it's only going to do that. It's only going to give you medicine. If you go look for a healer, then the healer will heal you. So it's not necessarily the same thing. Medicine, you can have a lot of medicine that doesn't guarantee you're going to heal. And healing comes in many layers, because your physical body is integrated to your mental health. Your mental health, how you feel, has a lot to do with your body. And I love how you were also talking about how there are ways when it comes to our relationship with the planet, like we have taken too much. It's not like the planet stops giving, it's that we haven't thought wisely of how to take care of the resources our planet does. And I think that made me think of so many communities like the native Indians that learn to live in nature, with nature. And I know you have a lot of experience working with communities that has found ways to maybe take from earth, but in a harmonious way. And I love our viewers to know more about that. I want to know more about those type of experiences, or something about a community that you think it would be very useful for all of our viewers to learn something about, how there are actual ways, healthy, balanced, harmonious ways that we can still take, but in a respectful way. I'm so curious to know more about that.
Andrea, that is such a splendid question, because it's so simple and yet such a challenge for most of us. You know, we just change our own habits. We are greedy. We consume far, far more than we need, whether it's food, whether it's materials, whether it's electricity, whether it's water. We consume, and I'm not saying we have to be minimalists, but our bodies bring it out. They express immediately when we've eaten too much, when we've drunk too much. And this is it's simple, but I know it's challenging. You will not see animals in the wild, Andrea. I've had a lot of experience with animals in the wild. You will not see them being greedy. Why? because they know they're going to get sick. And if they get sick, they're going to be attacked and they will not be able to run or escape fast enough. So they don't overeat. In fact, they undereat. That's one of our most foundational things. And this is what, when I talk about disease or I talk about environment even, the more that we kind of consume, the more we make our bodies work in processing, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whether it's food, because food addiction is the biggest addiction.
Yes.
Not just, we always talk about drugs and alcohol and things like that, but it's actually food addiction that is the biggest addiction. So if we just really, manage to be able to control and balance our own bodies, I guarantee you our minds, our emotions, and our thoughts follow. It's when we don't. It's greed, it's jealousy, it's competition. Animals in the wild, they compete, but they compete for specific purposes. They do not compete for the sake of competing.
That's right.
That's very important. So even though on one hand, we are so developed and we're so kind of evolved, on the other hand, we're still so primeval and primitive.
Yes.
And not just with greed, but also, sorry, I don't want to offend anyone, but even with lust. If you actually look at again, it's not about religion, but the basic foundation of religious principles are the simple ones: greed, lust, all of that. Why? Because you're overdoing your body. There was logic. There was reasoning to all these kind of moderate behaviors. So it's not just about health. It's also about living in harmony, in balance with our environments. And I've seen, Andrea, when people start to be conscious just about what they consume, they start to automatically be conscious of energy imbalances, whether it's emotional, whether it's material. They start to see where there's an imbalance, where somebody is trying to extract from them, or where they are giving too much, or even where they're like, my body's inflamed. I've eaten too much today, or I've sat in the sun for too long. It's inflamed. So our body's talking to us constantly. It's us that doesn't really know how to listen.
Oh, yeah.
So this is definitely one tool.
Self-awareness is key. That self-awareness, if we really were self-aware, we would have this inner knowing of the knowing what's right, what's wrong, what's needed, what it's not. It's so interesting that you talk about how food is the actual biggest addiction. That's so true. I've talked with people that suffer from BED, which means binge eating disorder. So
Yes.
we hear more people have binge eating disorder that they think that I have had binge eating disorder in phases of my life. And because there's sometimes when we experience imbalance in our lives. And in this world, we are so overstimulated. We are under so much stress at all times, especially if you live in a big city, especially if you don't live in a nature retreat. It's impossible not to be overstimulated. I live in New York. There's overstimulation as soon as I leave the door of my house. It's crazy. And everybody is always in a rush and is always stressed. And when people live with that constant level of high cortisol, because the stress is that high level of cortisol. They have a physical imbalance. And that physical, here people eat while they walk on the street. They grab a pizza or a hot dog and they run through the street while they eat. I cannot eat and walk at the same time. I just can't. I cannot even chew gum and walk at the same time. It's crazy, but that causes people to, in this constant stress, we need to relieve, because if we were all the time 24 hours of the day in that constant adrenaline state, we would have a heart attack and die. So your body is begging you to please give me a break, and that break comes with food, because as soon as you eat food, all that serotonin and all that calm that you feel, and a lot of things, like for example, I know that if I have full belly, I'm gonna fall asleep. Like Spanish people, they invented the siesta.
Me too.
Because after eating, we know we're gonna get sleepy and we're not gonna work. Like my culture invented that. Have a good nap after eating, because you're not gonna have the energy. And people here have a lot of trouble with sleep too, and that has a lot to do with diet. And you hear what I think it was Aristotle. I'm not sure if I'm saying the name right in English, and I could be very wrong. Or was it Socrates? I don't remember. I think he said, "Let Thai food be Thai medicine, and Thai medicine be Thai food." Right? And these days, we are not teaching children, and we haven't been taught about conscious eating, right? So we eat for the sake of the fact that we have a mouth and that we have the power to have more. And if I can eat more than I need, even if I'm full, I still eat more, because there's no conscious eating. And it's crazy how that affects our environment and our behavior towards environment. And I just wanted to say that because I know that a lot of people that listen to these interviews is people that are on a journey of self-betterment, self-improvement. People that watch these things are people that always want to be a better human being walking through this earth. And they're really looking for tips on, how can I actually do something that's gonna make me better, that's gonna make the world better, because be the change you want to see in the world. Mahatma Gandhi said that. It's my favorite quote ever, because it represents that coherence, right? And sometimes people collectively have this sense of impotence, that whatever they do is not enough or is not that important, when it actually is. It actually is. And you have this wonderful foundation, but the foundation is nothing without all the people that expand, that do their own little bit. And I know that as an activist that you are yourself, sometimes there's a lot of challenges in that peaceful activism, because we are doing the type of activism that is not confrontational. We do it through peaceful ways. And I want you to talk about those personal challenges of your peaceful activism.
Before I do that, I just want to share one little thing. I used to live in New York many years ago. Yes, I love it. It's a fun city. It's amazing. It's vibrant. It's vibrant. I went back because I was speaking at a conference last September. And Andrea, it had changed a lot. And actually, I think for the better, because there was choice. There were food trucks with healthy food. There were food trucks with different varieties of juices. There were food trucks, there was choice there, where before all you would find was quick fast food. Like you said, hot dogs and falafels or whatever, fast food. But here, so actually, it's exactly what you're saying. The small choices, the small actions, that changing, instead of buying a coffee and say having a fruit juice, alkalizes your body. And as your body is alkalized, your body actually feels nourished rather than hungry. So if it doesn't feel hungry, you're not going to crave the next hot dog or the next sandwich or the next burger.
Yeah.
So, and that cumulatively creates a new habit. And that's what we call conditioning. So it's easy. It's not difficult. It's, it's again propaganda. People say, oh, you have to be rich to eat good food. You don't. You have to just be conscious, mindful, and make choices. Mindfulness allows us to understand that we have choice. And then we have to act on those choices based on our own bodies. And coming back to peaceful activism, it's hard. I've found it challenging because sometimes, things are so clear and obvious and you don't understand why other people can't see it. And you just you tell them nicely and they don't. And then you tell them again, not that you are forcing them, but you're saying, do you not see that this is not just, or it's not appropriate even? And then you want to scream and shout. And I'll tell you, there have been instances where I have not been angry, I promise you, but I've screamed and shouted and they got it. Because they were paying attention. If I was always soft and, generally in Asia, people are very soft and soft spoken and beautiful. I mean, peaceful. But using that, if I just use that, people don't pay attention, especially in the West, more in the West and Europe and the US. So peaceful activism is actually not about being passive. It's not about being passive aggressive. It's more about knowing what will work in that situation, in that context, or at least within that context, how can you get your message across? And that's all we can do, Andrea, is pass on a message, offer something. You cannot force change, however much. You can just share and you can be. This is what's the most important thing. Like you said, small change. You have to be the example. Not telling people what to do, but being the example and just being who you are.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Um, when I was very young, I started being vegetarian, but I never tried to talk other people into stop eating meat or to change their things. Never talk about it, because people had this conception that people that talk about it and promote it are attacking them or are attacking their. So I never promoted. And a lot of people that made fun for me for it, after a few years, they stopped eating meat and they will call me and say, you know what? You influenced me. And I was like, did I? I didn't say anything. I said, no, but I saw you and I gave it a chance and now I understand. And that can come across as very passive, but I love that you said that this peaceful activism is not about being passive, because if we think about one of the most peaceful, loving personalities in history, we can bring up, for example, Jesus Christ. I love all type of stories of all different religions or cultures, but my husband's favorite story of Jesus Christ is when he threw a fit on a temple, because they were all these merchants and he started throwing away tables and screaming to people like, how you people do not realize. And he was the most loving, peaceful guy. But that was very meaningful because he wouldn't just make a riot out of anywhere. There was a lot of purpose behind it. And we talk about the most basic 10 commandments. You even talk about lust and everything. They are basic, but they are powerful and they are very clear. And when you are when it people like you that create foundations like this have this desire on their essence and their hearts of really helping people because of the love that you have. You have so much love. You have to share it. You cannot just keep it for yourself. And a lot of love comes with that strength and that power. Like, parents that love their children don't let them eat sugar all day. And sometimes they have
Mhm.
to say, no, it's no. And the kid can cry on the floor saying, my mother hates me because she wouldn't let me have another ice cream. When actually your mom is only trying for you to not turn into a diabetic kid. And it comes with a lot of integrity, but perspective too. And I think a lot of people that are watching us, that are on their self journey of becoming a better person on this earth, they often find a lot of criticism from their relatives or their friends, because especially on the Western world, is people haven't normalized yet the fact that why would you want to be better? Why would you want to do better? I have encountered that myself a lot. People that don't understand why you need to change if the world is the way it is. Like, why would you even do that? And I think it's the fact that when you have that love, that change that comes from within you, it's actually going to have a bigger impact than anything you could say or promote and
Yeah.
or become. And well, enough of my ranting. It's been
Yeah.
incredible conversation, and I know that our viewers have a million questions, and I want people to know where they can find you, if there's a way they can contact you. We're going to list your website on the details of this description, in case they want to email you with more questions, or if people are interested. I want you to tell us about upcoming events and how can people support the Unified Human Foundation and your wonderful mission.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. But again, I just have to say this. I don't know if you've been watching The Chosen. I love it, that series. And it's on Netflix, and it's all about the life of Jesus Christ and his his students, his disciples. And he repeats more than once, I did not come here for peace. I did not come here to create peace. He came to create change.
Wow.
He came,
Hearing
yes,
that. Wow.
he came to shift consciousness.
Wow.
So he didn't come for peace. And he knew that he was going to be sacrificed and destroyed. But he also knew that was part of the shift of consciousness, and that was part of the process that was required. And that's what we are going through now, is that change where there's lots of chaos. There isn't peace. And people don't realize that during these times, this time is not really for peace. So the peace that we're looking for, we have to find within ourselves, not outside, because it's a time of great change outside. So in order to survive this change, we have to connect with our own inner peace.
Wow.
That's one thing. Secondly, I am very appreciative and grateful of all your wonderful thoughts and your kind words, Andrea, seriously, and also the time and attention that your viewers, your communities are sharing with us to watch us, and they could be doing something else. Unified Human Foundation, what we do, like I mentioned, we have an educational platform where we do two things. One is we do free live sessions once a month. We do, it's called Unified Human and Unified Prakriti Foundation, the Ecosystem Live Session Series. And I'm delighted to share that September the 18th, Andrea Wen is our guest. She's going to be sharing the work of One Humanity, One World with us and the world and all our communities. So we're thrilled to have you. And what we also do is an annual summit online. Again, all of these educational things are online. And the summit is called Mothership Earth Summit. And it's specifically something created by Unified Human and Unified Prakriti Foundations. And the theme this year is global wellness, planet Earth and humanity thriving together 2.0. And it's a 2-day event, again, free, where we're bringing together physicians, integral health physicians, indigenous knowledge keepers, people talking about plants and magic, from a more esoteric and magic background, people talking about health and ecosystem, and also about how we can incorporate this in a way that is harmonious. So we've got one very interesting speaker. She's going to be talking about beauty and how beauty enhances and influences well-being. And it's very interesting because beauty is subjective. So somebody could find, what do you call it? What's it called when you, what's on the subway? What's it called? The painting, the artwork that some
graffiti?
people. Graffiti. Thank you. Graffiti. So some people find that beautiful. Other people find it not beautiful. So that's also interesting about what triggers well-being for us. So we've got a really interesting group and a diverse group from all over the world. They're from the UK, they're from Europe, they're from the US, they're from India, they're from Australia, they're from Europe, etc. So it'll be a nice mix. And we're also streaming a film. As you know, I love films. So it's a film on the second day called The Eternal Song, which is about Indigenous communities and their messages. So that's on the 22nd and 23rd of October. And everyone is welcome to register. It's free. And once you've registered, you will get access to the replays, even if you can't watch the whole thing online over 2 days. You can watch it bit by bit during the replays. So that's certainly one way that you can engage with Unified Human and Unified Prakriti Foundation. And of course, the other way is please share the website. It's www.unifiedhuman.org. And we would appreciate any donations, whether it's donations of money, whether it's donations of time, donations of contribution of skills, whatever it is that you can share and help with, because we're in this together. This is not about one community, one group, one leader. It's about all of us together, collaboratively. So thank you.
No, Sangeeta, thank you. You heard that people don't miss the opportunity, register to those wonderful seminars, don't miss a chance to watch that incredible movie. And it will definitely give you a lot of inspiration and a lot of guidance on your own journey, because learning from wise people, it's going to really open our minds to a whole new other level that we can't even imagine at this point. I never stop learning. Learning is infinite, and I learned so much from my dear friend, Dr. Sangeeta, and you're going to learn much more from the people in her foundation and their communities. It's beautiful what they are doing, and I am so grateful to you for sharing your time, your wisdom with One Humanity, One World, and our own community that we have, that I'm sure that are going to be so hungry for more knowledge from you and to know more of you. All the websites are going to be listed down below. And beautiful people, keep living a beautiful life. Dr. Sangeeta, please never stop bringing healing to this world and bringing your beauty and your love and your very, very high frequency. I'm sending you a huge hug. And we'll see you next time. I'm going to be speaking for Unify Foundation too. So we'll be promoting that on OHOW as well.
Absolutely. And again, I want to share September 18th. Please, all are welcome. Come join. And thank you all for your time, for your attention, for your presence. God bless. Stay well, be well, enjoy your life.